I got into radio because when I was in high school I did a lot of speech, and I had a speech instructor who really believed in me, and I think that made me believe in myself. I did good in speech, and she said, you know, you'd really be good at radio. And there you go. That's how it all happened, and I've been doing it now for, well, let's just say a long time.
Favorite radio moment would probably be twofold. The first time I ever talked into one of these things was in Dubuque at Cat FM for Romance of the Oldies. I did the weather forecast. I think it was partly cloudy that night. The second one was probably a bigger radio moment. That's when Joe Nugent, former KRNA program director, in fact my predecessor here at the Mighty 94, called me in '98 and offered me a job to do morning news for the legendary Mark Voss.
When I was a senior in high school, I was an introvert. I was very shy, very reserved. I hated public speaking. And my parents, in an effort to break me of that, made me go out for individual speech contests in high school. And I was like, no, I don't want to get up in front of people and talk or improv or anything like that. So I looked at all the different categories. And I chose the only category in individual speech contest where you actually get to talk behind closed doors. No one can see you. And that was radio, news, and broadcasting. And I said, haha, I'll do individual speech, but no one will ever see me. And so I started doing it. I had some wonderful speech coaches in high school that got me ready, and I was All-State my only year I ever did it. And at one of my contests, I don't know whether it was districts or the state contest, one of my judges ran a small radio station, and he said, I will hire you on the spot. And I thought, I don't know if anyone will ever say that about me again. So yes, I would love to work for your radio station. And that's how I got started. I worked at a small little radio station in my hometown and eventually landed here at K-Hawk. All thanks to Mom and Dad.
So I was a late bloomer getting into radio. In college, one of my buddies was working at the college radio station, and he's like, hey, you want to come up and run CDs? So that's what I did. I went and ran CDs, literally. Grabbed CDs off the shelf, gave him CDs, and then I went and reshelved CDs. And somehow realized that's what I wanted to do the rest of my life. Not so much run CDs, but be on the radio. So we got a show. Next thing you know, I'm running the radio station, graduate college, and then worked at Blockbuster for many years and realized this is not fun. I need to work in radio. And finally got into radio. Now 7 years later, I'm doing radio. And it's pretty darn awesome.
My favorite story is we had a gentleman call us here at the radio station on a Saturday morning, and I happened to be working, and there was a delay in the phone line, and we weren't sure what was going on at first, but we figured it out. He was calling from the battlefields in Iraq when the Iraq War was going on, and he had a special request for his wife back in Marion. He wanted to hear the song from Lone Star, I'm Already There, and we were taken back that he took the time to call us from Iraq to request a song for his wife. So we played the song, we dedicated it to his wife in Marion. Not more than me taking off my headphones did the phone light up. She was in tears saying, thank you, I heard that song, thank you so much for playing it. We had such a lump in our throat that we actually could reach out to somebody and just play that song and help them get through their day.
Yeah, well, it boils down to one man we lost recently, Casey Kasem. First heard him when I was about 6 or 7 years old. Thought it sounded really cool, so I started practicing over the years and reading up on the radio business. Got to high school and job shadowed and finally saw the inner workings of a radio station and liked it even more, so I took some classes in college and here we are.
I realized that radio was what I wanted to get into. When I was about 10 years old, I got a tape recorder for Christmas. It was about this big, and so I also got a bunch of blank tapes. And so I would sit up in my room every single night, and I would record the radio, my little clock radio that I had, and I would set the tape recorder right next to it, and I would record the songs that were playing on the radio, and then I would physically turn them down or fade them out, as we call it in radio. And I would start to talk, and then when I was done talking, I would hit the pause button, and then I would wait for them to start the next song on the radio. And lots of times it would be after, they'd do commercials and stuff like that, and then I'd have to come back on, and then I would front sell, as we call it in radio, what song was playing, Culture Club or whatever was popular back in the time of the early 80s. and then I would make tapes of these. And then we would, in my car, we would drive around, and instead of listening to the radio, sometimes we would put in these cassettes, and I'd listen to myself do my own radio shows. And that's kind of how I got to realize that radio is where I wanted to be.